This is KWR, telling our story together. Ni kweli huyu Yesu amefanya maajabu. We give thanks and praise to his name for his goodness and for his kindness. And we thank God for this morning and for the grace of God being here and celebrating the goodness of the Lord and giving thanks to him for the 25 years of ministry. And I'm here joined by my wife, Mary, Kiriaku. You want to say hello to whoever is online or even later, whoever is going to join?
Yes, what a lovely morning, the day that the Lord has made. We choose to rejoice and be glad in it. And so welcome everyone as you continue to join us. We are here to celebrate the goodness and the grace of God over 25 years of ministry. And what a blessing, what a privilege. And thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much. When we think about that song that has just been sung by Sami Rongo, he talks about the goodness and the grace of God and what he has done. Amazing, amazing things in life. And definitely, being in ministry, ordained ministry for 25 years, I'm not taking it lightly. And as I will be saying later in this broadcast, is that I'm not taking it as an accomplishment. Because when you think of an accomplishment, it's like you have started a journey, you have completed that journey, yet 25 years of ministry does not mean that I have accomplished, that I've come to the end of my ministry. It's only a time to stop, reflect, and think a little bit about that ministry that I've been in the last 25 years. And that's why I wanted to begin by giving thanks to God for his grace, for his love, and for his mercy for that journey. And as I think about that journey, part of it, and there are a couple of things that I want to share this morning, is it's my family, of course. My wife, Mary, our daughters, Milka and Wangeshi, and my son, Ayub, who've been there, who've been witness to that ministry together, and who have walked with me, sometimes, not understanding fully what it means, to be part of that journey. And of course, not just being witnesses, but being companions in that journey. And I'm very, very, very grateful to God for the journey together that we have had. And later I'm going to give Mary an opportunity to share with us what she thinks about that ministry as we continue thinking about it. The other group that I want to recognize this morning is the individuals and communities that were involved from the word go, beginning from my home congregation, Dogamano, PCEA, and Kiamotiga, PCEA. This is in the former Thegenge parish. And the elders that were there then, most of whom have gone to be with the Lord, but there are still many who are still living. And I will talk about the church triumph before long. And the young people that we serve together, from the days that we were in the youth and later called into ordained ministry as an elder, and also later, hearing the call of God, and eventually the Gege parish seeing in me and that I was qualified to become a student in the ministry. And of course, my presbytery, Nyeri Presbytery, and the ministers that were there. I remember a few. I remember the late Nahashon Mwaura, although by then, he just came in as I was just beginning my journey. The Reverend Kevadi, then he, I went to the ministry because of his inspiration when he came into the parish as a student and then got ordained. He became such a powerful inspiration to me to begin that journey. The late moderator of the General Assembly, the late Right Reverend, or the very Reverend Bernard Muindi, who by then was not the moderator of the General Assembly, but he was very key in Nyeri Presbytery. Reverend Kagume is another individual that I cannot forget. Reverend Joe I'm not sure if he has retired or if he's still in ministry to this day. Wahome wa Kemari, that's another minister that I cannot forget, and Reverend Kehuba, Moridua Moema, all those ministers who were in the presbytery that at that time, as I was getting into the ministry. And there were elders, some of them very dear to me, whom we came with from the parish, like Peter Goko, the late Elder Peter Goko, Wachiradia, or one we call, is it DC or DRC? Well, I can't remember, but he used to work with the Rio. I think it was a cooperation then, the railway lines and all that, and Mrs. Degwa, and many others. And of course, as I've mentioned, the general session of the Genge parish who worked with me. And I cannot also forget the work that was put into my calling by the National Church. When we went for the interview, I was a very young man, sometimes didn't even understand specifically what it entails to become a minister. And the mentorship that I received from many, many ministers, from the elders, and again, the Presbyterian Church agreeing that I qualified to become a minister, and then sending me to theological college. And the nation that has formed me. In fact, I was reminding my friends at church. I serve as a minister at the Church of Amazing Grace. I was reminding my friends about some of the things that we did for the nation. Again, not fully understanding what we were doing, but being inducted into the life of a community as a minister. And I remember all those, political things we got involved into as a way of engaging civic education, and even at times, suffering for the sake of that ministry, which reminds me of my good friend, Reverend Simon Gedeji, whom I will talk to about later in this broadcast. So there's a reason to give thanks. Yes. That's what I'm saying. There's a reason to give thanks to God for that opportunity, for allowing me as an individual to be the minister in the parish and in the Presbyterian Church before I moved on. And possibly before we listen to the second number that I have in line for us, Mary, briefly, possibly you may want to reflect on that journey yourself, what it means, it has meant to you from the word go. Yes.
As you mention names, and as you remember the spaces that it all started way back in Nyeri, within the Thegenge parish, former Thegenge. And it just fills my heart with thanksgiving, and reminds me of the same thing that we have known since we came to know the Lord, about the fact that it is Him who wills to work in us, and Amen. He produces what He wants, and He uses people around us, He uses situations around us to glorify Himself and to show Himself faithful. So I am thankful for that, for the privilege and the honor of serving alongside, and just the whole assurance of God's presence as you served, as we walked together, as we negotiated the journey of serving the Lord, sharing the gospel, because that's the key, sharing the goodness of the Lord, the love of Christ among the people that we interact with, which is the important factor of ministry. I really, really do feel thankful this morning for the privilege, for the opportunity that God has granted you, and protecting you through it all, that He has shown Himself faithful.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you very much. Absolutely. And, when you think about that, I thought about the song. And by the way, some of the songs that I'll be playing here, I've received the right. They are copyrighted, but I have received that right to play them because I have purchased a few licenses to allow me to broadcast and to use these forums and use these songs. And one of the songs that I think powerfully about is another song by the same young man, Same Irongo, called Maidori. That even though it talks about the struggles of a Christian, it also affirms the faith It affirms the power of following and trusting God even when things are difficult. And I am going to play that song now as we continue in this broadcast. And karibu sana, share this. And if you are joining us, again, this is Kasisi Kiriaku Kenyua, and with my wife here, Mary, as we celebrate the 25 years of ministry. And here is Sami Rongo with the song Maidori. Yes, one thing I'm sure of the Lord is that he has not hidden his face, even as the singer, laments on some of the painful moments in his own life. I know there have been some challenges in the ministry that I've been part of, together with my family, as I've mentioned, but the Lord has been faithful. I can attest to that. I can say, glory to God, even as he says, that his glory walks with us. He talks about Shekinah in the song, that he walks with those who trust him. And this is why I am also very conscious, remembering of the individuals that I served with, some of them who were part of the ordination journey. And I am particularly remembering the elders of Kahonera. Definitely beginning, it was initially called Kaga Parish, starting off with the late Reverend Samuel Thiongo and his wife, Nina Wajeri, the late Nina Wajeri, and the session that served with us. Many elders, almost, I believe there were about 65 elders who are way older than me. I remember somebody like Gogowa Queenie, Samuel Gadesha, Charles Wairia, Modogwetuo, Idwanya Bura, Twathi Kevadithi, Modogwetuo Gadi Matiro, Wa Mudaje, Wa Shiko, in Kaga, and Richard, Mudenyere, Twathi Matibei, Nekware wa Gathoga, na Kenyongo. I'm not mentioning all of them. Toka Kahonera, Erija wa Theka, Nekware, either wa, Bwana Kuria, either wa Karaoke, and, wa Kenyua, and many na Borwa Theka, Toka, Kadaje, Adatad, Adan, and many others. Some of them are living, but there are some who have gone to be with the Lord. And the confidence they had in me, and that even though they have gone to be with the Lord, some of those that I've mentioned have gone to be with the Lord, it is through their faithfulness that, my ministry became what it is today. In my own village, my own parish, like my mother-in-law, Amoteru, Gogoa Karuga, Karori, Karimo Amronga, and as I mentioned, Peter Goko, Wachira Wachadraka, Mudea Gatamu. Some of them also are living, but some have gone to be with the Lord, Akamaida, and many others. The church triumphed together with the church living. Many of them have retired from the ministry Taduri, but I give thanks to God for them. And for that reason, that's why that song, Maidori Maya Toraita Netodo, it was a journey that has been a journey that is powerfully led by God. But at the same time, there are moments you really question that calling, but the Lord has been faithful in that. I don't know whether you remember any that you would want that comes to mind. Any of the elders, either in the Gege and in Kahonera.
None is coming to mind right at the moment. That you haven't mentioned already.
Yeah. Yes, yeah. Mutawa Mushuru, Twathi Koregadaji, Mudhe Kafera, Marimo Joroge, Marimo Ajiro, and many others. I still I'm trying to bring to mind these individuals, and I'm very conscious again and purposefully mentioning these people because they have been part of who I am and part of that ministry. And again, thinking about, that ministry together as a young man, I was ordained when I was shy 30 years. I was 29 years and a few months when I got ordained. Very young, very naive in many ways. And in fact, I got married right at the very beginning of our ministry together. We have seen that ministry together. We've grown together. And there have been some challenges I must mention. And of course, as I've said, one of them is the youthfulness in it, the naivety. Well, sometimes we bash young people, but I'm not trying to bash anybody here. I'm talking about myself. The naivety that comes with youthfulness. And of course, there's the energy, there is the hope, there is the thinking about how things will become. And one of the things that I believe I had assumed is the enormity of the issues of ministry. How powerful some of these issues can be, and how overwhelming the things that you hear, the things that you do as a minister, how they can. And it is only through the grace of God, balancing between church and family. That has always been very difficult for the family. And I do remember, during our wedding, and we had the former moderator of the General Assembly, the very Reverend Dr. George Wajau, who conducted and who officiated our marriage, and of course John Ann Wheeler Waddell is the one who preached on that particular day. But for the former moderator, he was counseling the community, the then Kaga Parish community, and he talked about how overwhelming community can be, particularly to the wife of a minister. And he used these words because he was trying to caution our community, and not to allow us, to give us that latitude of a family, even as we were serving them. And he said that the minister's house is not a beehive. Augire nyumba ya mutungatiri mwato igagirirwo haha okagamba huru okamera mwena uria ungi. And that, well, it was very funny at that particular point in time. But the wisdom behind it, the wisdom about of course, as I mentioned, giving latitude to the minister and his family, because that has been a big challenge in my ministry, trying to balance between family, myself, and the calling. And the way the setup, and I'm talking this in very good faith, the way the setup of ministry, particularly in the PCEA, is, if the minister's wife is not a church elder, the way the setup is almost like she is in the periphery, or the husband. If the husband is not the one if the husband is not an elder and the wife is a minister, sometimes, that separation, if you're not conscious, if you're not deliberate in how you run your things, definitely it can become a big issue. And pride was another issue that I have dealt with throughout my ministry. Being puffed up as a minister, thinking that I'm awesome, I'm great, I'm a great preacher, I know how to lead, meetings and all, to moderate meetings, I'm intelligent. All those things, sometimes they did get in my way. And again, I think it is out of the naivety that I was talking about, in that sometimes you can get lost in your own pride, and people just, they just fold their hands and they just look at you and wait to hear from you. Those are some of the challenges that I did. And of course, I met a lot of mediocrity in ministry, some of it which was really, nerve-wracking. But there are many others who did very well. And I would always challenge myself and challenge everybody else, particularly within the locale that I've talked about having a broader vision, seeing ministry in that wider picture instead of just that tunnel. Any thought? And if you're online and you would want to participate, you can type on the chat. I was hoping to have it set up in a way that people can chat, but we'll do that later. Today it's a little difficult to have people call in WhatsApp to be able to chat together.
Yeah, of course, as you mentioned, balancing with their family and balancing the activities of ministry. The activities of ministry means interacting with people, meetings, services, committees, guests, and responding to people's needs. Funerals, illnesses, and things like that. And all these things take time. All these things take attention. They take preparation. So they take a lot of emotional and mental energy of an individual. So when the minister, when you got into all that, and us, myself and the children, attempting to be supportive and still maintain a level of individualism, a level of pursuing whatever everybody as an individual is pursuing, sometimes there is that imbalance of what has to go and what has to be done, not 100%. And I think that is an act that all along we've had to balance, sometimes easily, sometimes not so easily, sometimes with easy agreement, sometimes not so much, but through it all, I think we have been able, and we celebrate the goodness of the Lord, even when it has been very tough, that by His grace and to an extent that He has allowed us, we have, and you in particular, have opted not to be neglectful of your work, or neglectful of meetings, or neglectful of getting prepared for whatever it is that you are having to deal with. And for that, I really do celebrate with you the ability to juggle with it all, and the ability to adapt when the circumstance requires adapting. And I think it is true that many instances and many families suffer when there is no deliberate intention to juggle with the two, to juggle with the balance of time, to juggle with the balance of emotional energy and just times to pray, time to self-care, that kind of thing. That it is when we talk of burnout, when we talk of people giving up in ministry or families not surviving ministry, it is when those pressures come and there isn't good support or good ability to balance it all, or the resources to do so. And that's why we celebrate the people who have been around us, because if it were not for them, or by yourself or by myself or just the two of us, can't accomplish much. It has taken a lot of the people around us to make it happen, to have people who are picking on the vision, whose vision we are joining, like the people of Kahonera. They knew what they were doing, and joining them and joining the Lord as He did it is what produces results. And so for that we are thankful, and for that I glorify the name of the Lord this morning.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Mary, for those words. And I know you speak from the heart, and definitely intentionality is key in everything that we do. Again, as I mentioned, you can interact with us, and I'm sure the Lord is going to bless us together. There's one particular song that I think is very appropriate at this time that I want to share with us. The song is by Robin Mark, and if I can pull it very quickly. When you think about ministry, and you think about some of the mistakes that people do in life and some of the failures, we can condemn ourselves. A moment like today, celebratory moment, may not happen because of the things that weigh you down. But reminding ourselves that we are redeemed in the presence of the Lord is a key thing that has been so powerful to me. And there's a song by an Englishman called He Will Not Remember. And I want to share that song with us, that He will not remember some of these things because of the grace He shows. He chose to just forgive and to help and lead. So here we go. This is KWR, telling our story together.